Visit Chinatown, Melbourne, Australia, and you'll see a business area that dates back to the 1850s gold rush. You're standing in the location of the longest continuous Chinese settlement in the Western world. Just 2 blocks away is the office of the Australian China Business Council.
Before 1978, China was a closed, small economy, and in the short space of 40 years, it grew to the second largest economy in the world. And what does that mean for Australia? China is now our #1 trading partner. Chinese companies are very welcome to invest in Australia. We are not a nation of savers, and we need foreign investment to maintain our quality of life, to create jobs and economic growth.
We're 5 kilometres from the Australian city of Geelong. The artwork on these silos, part of an abandoned cement works, is an example of how a new generation Australia-China company is giving back to the local community. The company, up-and-coming property developer ICD Property. How and why is part of a much bigger story that begins with ICD's philosophy of doing more than just making sales. Chinese-born Australian-educated Michael Mai, founder and CEO of ICD Properties, explains.
My approach for business is have fun, do good, make money. Because have fun is not just like being playful. It's more about enjoy, being passionate about what you do. And then do good is about giving back to your customer, giving back to the community. And the make money is definitely just financial outcomes. And we believe just in that order as well.
ICD has already completed over 1,000 residences, along with commercial and retail spaces. They currently have $2 billion worth of projects in the pipeline across Australia and New Zealand.
For ICD, innovation is at the core of what we do. ICD actually stands for Innovative Construction and Development. So we set out with a very clear goal at the start of each project that we need to integrate a life-changing innovation.
Eq Tower in Melbourne CBD, 63 floors, 633 apartments. This is one of the tallest buildings in Melbourne and a good example of ICD's life-changing innovation. The development here, in line with the concept of giving back, is reframing the way developers engage with the local community. The hawker concept on the ground floor of Eq Tower is a community dining and startup concept that has changed the Melbourne food landscape.
It's all about the hustle and bustle of the street. It's, the food, the vibe and the smells that you get in a hawker centre is second to none.
Modelled on an Asian hawker market, Hawker functions as a startup incubator, showcasing 4 individual kitchens that host concept or pop-up kitchens that rotate on a 3 to 6 month basis. It's an example of how Matthew, who was born in Australia, and Michael worked together to draw on the strengths of the Chinese and Australian business markets and cultures to create a unique viewpoint. That viewpoint finds us here, 75 kilometres from Melbourne. The ICD philosophy of giving back to the community led to the company enhancing this former industrial site. Although they don't own the site, it's next to their residential development, Jen Finesford. These unused silos, long considered eyesores, were painted by Geelong-born, internationally renowned street artist Roan, commissioned by ICD. Bruce Harwood, Mayor of Geelong, explains.
It came through the Arts and Culture Department of the Council, talking to the community what they would like to have seen up there. So, and that translated into the Korean records from the Wadawurrung traditional owners of the land, which is a great story. Cor Horston, who worked at the cement works for I think over 35 years, so he had a great story to tell about the history of the site and the operations. And then Kelly Cartwright, who's a great story, local girl, Paralympian, dual gold medalist. So we really touched on the community aspects and people who are involved in the community and have a real good story to tell. So that was translated onto the silo. So I think that's one of the main reasons it's become so popular.
In addition to benefiting communities associated with its projects, ICD partners with some of Australia's leading charities and not-for-profit organisations through its affiliated charity, the My Foundation. One program is YMCA Youth for Causes.
The philosophies between YMCA and the My Foundation are really aligned, particularly in our shared belief in the power of inspired young people and also the power of business to create positive social impact.
My Foundation is a family-run foundation. It's a vehicle for us, for the family to give back.
And what of the future? Giving back also looks to safeguard the environmental dimension.
We've got some really exciting projects to work with great partners and the community. We've got some projects that are working with organisations that care a lot about the sustainability of our land, and that gives us an opportunity to see how that can be best integrated into development.
Working closely with local government and partners like Heritage Victoria, ICD has developed their Jen Finesford site as a casebook example of how to turn a former industrial site into a sustainable community with a green future. Here in Sydney, the sustainability challenge is different. To preserve the integrity of an iconic landmark while building a boutique hotel and residential tower.
You know, the City Tattersalls Club, 120-year-old heritage club, where we're going to help with the sustainability of their club into the future.
In recent years, Australia's booming property market has seen some developers looking to increase profits and get to market faster by cutting corners. As a purpose-driven company, ICD measures success not only by the bottom line, but also by the lasting impact each development has on the landscape and people, and by giving back.
There's no doubt that the Australia-China relationship has experienced some bumps in the road recently, and it's never pleasant to conduct business in a politically tense environment. But the facts are very clear. We now have record $183 billion in bilateral trade. Over 1 million people live in Australia are of Chinese ancestry. Nearly 200,000 Chinese students come to our universities every year. So the relationship is very strong and the future looks very, very bright.
The benefits of Chinese investor into Australian agribusiness the market from China is very huge. The capital they can bring in, which is going to help the agribusiness people in Australia. Also, they can bring technology, experience, and equipment.
The Ballarat region, Australia, close to Victoria's historic goldfields in wool country. This is Lau Lau Estate, 25,000 hectares of farmland and over 170 years of history. It's a showcase merino sheep breeding and wool production property. Since purchasing the estate from the Fiskin family in 2014, Lau Lau has been the Australian home of Wen Qingnan, chairman of China's Tianyu wool industry, the world's largest buyer and processor of Australian merino wool. We're here to gain a different perspective on giving back by another new generation purpose-driven company.
我14年4月份有幸买了这个拉拉牧场，所以我到了这个拉拉牧场，看到这个美丽的牧场，我就产生了一种我怎样通过我的拉拉牧场来帮助当地老百姓能盈利，让年轻人能回到这个牧场来经营。
Mr. Wen believes the Australian wool industry has been good to him, so is giving back by using Tianyu's success to reinvest some profits back into Australia's merino farming industry.
Mr. Wen has a vision and involves me heavily in that too, that we get outstanding wool growers in Australia and combine them with a supply chain in China. And by pulling these people together, we can take a lot of the guesswork out of what we do.
To reduce the guesswork surrounding annual wool prices, Mr. Wen wants to see long-term or 10-year contracts at fixed prices become the norm. He believes this would ensure more stable incomes and encourage Australian wool growers to stay in the industry.
同时，我们也需要和 澳大利亚所有的牧民和中国的出口商交流，和这种的终端客户交流，让他们大家有激情来做这个羊毛产业，让澳大利亚的年轻人能回到这个农业来从事这个羊毛。
The scale of Mr. Wen's plan to give back is vast, to build a training and education centre at Lau Lau where industry and science can come together to develop more productive and sustainable models for the future. To hold forums for an exchange of ideas between Australian and Chinese stakeholders. And to promote Lau Lau as a tourist destination for end consumers so they can develop a love of wool.
From our perspective, I feel we would like to put our effort in and try to prove that foreign investors can in fact help to stimulate local economy and bring more job opportunities to the local market.
Future plans at Lau Lau include working with a leading university to identify a research project that would encourage better, innovative wool production. It's part of a strategy to show Australian farmers how to improve wool quality and profits while meeting the needs of wool buyers in China, where the demand by a vast middle class for high-end wool garments is growing rapidly.
Since taking over, we sort of recognised that there was a problem with our lamb survival, so we started chasing genetics using ASBVs as a strong tool, and we found by just choosing genetics with positive fat and muscle, we could increase our lamb survival by 20%.
When it comes to cross-border relationships, Lau Lau itself is a working example of close personal cooperation between two countries with a common goal.
去年的中国年，我跟我妈妈到了这个牧场，我邀请了前牧场主的前家人到了这个牧场，包括他妈妈也来参加。我妈妈用中国的传统祭祖和祈祷平安，为他们的家人和他们祖先都祈祷。
Integrating Chinese work culture here at Lau Lau has been fantastic, actually. I've loved the opportunity to learn their culture and teach them ours, and then combine sort of the ideas from both cultures to help in managing the farm. When I first started here, got appointed as manager, we had a beautiful Chinese banquet up at the homestead with Mr. Wen and Terry and a few of Mr. Wen's friends, and it was my whole family, my wife and 3 kids were up there, and it was a nice moment when Mr. Wen put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Now you're part of our family."
Lau Lau is not an isolated phenomenon. Mr. Wen recently acquired another historic wool station, Makanja, in Western Victoria, where he plans to focus on pasture improvement and genetics.
I think foreign investment's a great opportunity for any farm. It's a chance for large farms to not be split up and sold off, and be able to keep the integrity and the history in those properties, but not only that, create jobs for local communities and keep our local contractors involved in the operations of the place.
But the last word on Australia and China's agribusiness relationship should go to Jack Zhong, President of the Australia-China Agribusiness Association. Here at an association meeting in Victoria's Yarra Valley, we asked him about the future.
I believe that Australian agribusiness people may also taking part of Chinese market, which means they might go there to invest. It is already happening. That today that we have a guest. He's the president of Agribusiness Victoria. Clive, he's already has his business, joint venture business in Jiangsu province, which is my hometown.
Giving back as a concept is not something unique to China. We're here on Australia's Mornington Peninsula to look into an Australian business and wellness movement that started 19 years ago and is set to impact Chinese consumers today.
So China have this work culture of 996. So basically it means that you need to start at 9 a.m., finish at 9 p.m. and work for 6 days. And this is especially popular for all the new startups. So this is like a new culture, working culture in China, which I know it's incredible.
Today, the stress generated by the Chinese work culture means the global wellness industry, worth $4.2 trillion worldwide, is making inroads into China. This high-pressure environment has seen a sharp rise in burnout amongst Chinese white-collar workers.
So with this 996 culture, it impacts men and women, and I think it's pretty hard for women especially, because a woman is taking lots of responsibility, especially in China. They are perceived as someone who need to take care of the family. So this 996 culture makes it really hard for women because they don't really have time to spend with their family. So they feel guilty that they are not a good wife, they feel guilty they are not a good daughter or a good mother.
It's the burnout and stress that Chinese women are experiencing that brings us to Mornington Peninsula, home of Australian wellness company and brand leader Endota. Founder and CEO Melanie Gleeson, whose mission to give back has broadened to include a focus on working women in China.
So we believe that women generally are the anchors of their family, and if we're to provide support and love and nurture and care for all of those around us, we can only do that when we feel well and we feel happy and we feel cared for. So at Endota, we create spaces where you can come and feel cared for, and then the ripple effect on that when you go home to your families and communities is felt right through.
Melanie put into practice her dream to live consciously and give back to others when she established the first spa here 19 years ago. Doing so helped pioneer the wellbeing movement in Australia.
We decided to expand beyond the treatments that we offered to creating our own skincare, really driven by a need from our clients and our therapists. So they wanted a product that they could rely on and trust. So we worked with chemists and industry professionals to create 3 different product ranges that are used in our professional treatments.
Endota is regarded as Australia's leading health and wellness brand with over 60 products across 3 ranges. Each is 100% Australian made with a combination of anti-aging, organic and natural ingredients.
Endota was one of the first cosmetic companies to be awarded certification via Cosmos, and it was very important for us because it gives the consumers a level of trust.
Cosmos is the Cosmetics Organic and Natural Standard, an international accreditation signifying world's best organic and natural products.
For us, the Endota brand is a way of life. It's certainly not just about the products we put on our skin. They play a part, but for us it's holistic wellness, and we take that into consideration with each and every client.
The Spa Network employs over 1,000 women and in 2018 launched its first wellness college in Melbourne, offering diplomas in remedial therapy, remedial massage and spa management.
Well, we really want to empower young women, and that's why we originally wanted to open a wellness college, so that we could train them in our beliefs and values. And we know with this sort of core foundation, it offers them vast opportunities.
The company's role in educating women also involves giving back to women in the community by acting as an inspiration, enabler and motivator. This is the vision Melanie Gleeson is taking to China.
So I think the demands on women globally are similar, but I think more so in China because the pressure to be perfect is something that is overwhelming. So Endota plans to act as an advocate for women in China by bringing these topics to the forefront, by knowing that it's okay to discuss them, it's okay to share concerns, it's okay to talk about what's bothering us. The other role that we will facilitate in China is helping women to understand the benefit of self-care. throughout Australia.
The company recently launched its organics and new age ranges into China via a cross-border strategy and influencer campaign. Chinese women have begun connecting with the philosophy of the brand and a desire to live healthier lives.
So first thing we did is actually set up our WeChat, official WeChat account for them. And also we do events like today, and we engage with influencers and the daigous, get them to come to the store, get connected with the brand, because that's the best way for them to understand the brand.
I like the way they're talking about the women. The women they have lots of stress today, so they need to work, they need to take care about their home, and there's so much stress.
Endota has plans to become a voice for women in China through WeChat, with content about self-care and stress management. Early May 2019, Melanie was invited to speak in Shanghai at the China International Beauty Expo on female empowerment.
And sometimes women just need a gentle reminder to nurture.
Look, I would love in China to do similar events like we do here in Australia. So we hold wellness summits where we bring along industry experts to talk about wellness and small things that you can do to improve your everyday. I would love to be able to do that. Go into schools and universities and talk to women about how important self-care is. If I could flash forward 10 years to see Endota in China, I would love for it to be as well-known a brand and as loved as it is within Australia. I would love to help the women of China and their families. And I would like to see not only our product available, but spas and also our colleges.
Today, while companies like Endota, ICD Property and Tianyu Wool Industries are redefining Australia-China relations through the concept of giving back, there are signs the consumer market is responding as well. Millennials in particular are engaging with companies that are driven by purpose over profit.